Hi everyone, welcome to Real Science Challenge. I'm Kent Louie, science teacher and talking head, talking best practice in science education and broadcasting from beautiful Vancouver, Canada. Now, I was presenting at a conference recently on how I use standards-based assessment or standards-based grading in my science classroom. And someone asked, how do I give retests when using standards-based grading? And my answer? Well, I don't give retests. Now, this is an excellent benefit for me in using standards-based assessment because now I don't spend additional time creating and marking retests. Now, let me explain how this all makes sense, but before I do, handouts for this episode are available at realsciencechallenge.com/EP55. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, consider a traditional markbook setup where we might have 5 chemistry tests, each one out of 20 for a total of 100 marks. And each test is based on a set amount of information, and a student is essentially evaluated on how well they know that information. I got one right here. Here's the marks book. Okay, so 5 tests, each out of 20. Now, a student who doesn't do well on one test, for example, this one where they score 3 out of 20, well, they'd want another opportunity to show that they've mastered the information on that particular test, especially since that content only appears on that test. Hence, they'll ask for a retest. And since school districts encourage teachers to provide multiple opportunities for students to demonstrate their learning, a student's request could be justified in this case, where the focus on tests is mastery of content knowledge. But if we look at the student, they seem to be a B student. They score 16 out of 20, 16 out of 20, 18 out of 20. They score in the mid to high teens on each test, as it is. So that one test, they may have had just an off day, and that's why they got 3 out of 20. Now, however, consider a markbook setup where students are assessed on curricular skills and practices using standards-based grading. For the same 5 chemistry tests, instead of assessing knowledge only, we use a proficiency scale from emerging, developing, proficient, and extending to assess a student's ability to, let's say, evaluate data or make models or write arguments. And since we're using a proficiency scale, we're assessing a student's mastery of these skills and not necessarily their mastery of the content knowledge. So, if a student doesn't do well on one test, for example, on this test they score emerging across the board, well, they're already given other opportunities on future tests to demonstrate mastery of that skill. Thus, I don't have to give a retest when the focus is on skills and practices, because those skills come up over and over. And if we look at the later results, this seems to say that the student is a proficient student overall. And I would say that's probably a strong B student. So, whether we use this or this, the traditional setup, we get a sense that this student is a B student. I get the same result, but I don't have to make retests to get there for standards-based grading. Now, this is not to say that there's no content on my tests. Of course, there's content, but the content is what I use to evaluate the skills. For example, the argument students craft on a chemistry test need to include chemistry concepts in the response in order to get extending or proficient. That's it for this episode. Please smash the like or subscribe button or leave a comment below, and handouts once again are realsciencechallenge.com/EP55. Thanks for watching, and let's talk science education again soon.